It doesn't matter where you are watching, whether on LAN or online. Game 11 and FNCS always delivers, and there's a good reason for that, because it's time to look at the two duos at the top and see what they're going to do to assert themselves. And my word is Sky and Scroll assert themselves, Levin.
I was jumping out of my chair. I mean, I was...
fucking play
we were sort of
so
expecting this play to happen, right? The distance between top two and the third place team meant this was going to have to be the play at some point, whether it was game 11, whether it was game 12. We typically see this thing happen in game 12, but I understand the thinking from Chino and Pablo to go for a hit in game 11. Unfortunately, they are dealing with the best duo in the world who just have no weakness in their game plan, and so they were ready for the off-spawn. The perfect, both of them bunny hopping as well on the drops is just disgusting, Mini.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always the risky run when you land on another team. They're going to know that drop better. They're going to know the little intricacies of that drop. They're going to know how to drop there in terms of the bus path and everything. And right there, Sky bunny hopping off of that rock got him to that weapon ahead of Chino and Pablo. And my goodness, was that aim incredible there as well, because if it wasn't, then it would have put them in deep trouble there. Looking at the leaderboard right now, there's still a long way to go for Chino and Pablo, but I think what they'll be happy about is that Shark and Teeny didn't have a good game. So I think maybe we'll run it back. We'll see.
I mean, look, I'm sure people will be wondering if they run it back, especially again, Sky and Scroll. They did well to make the most out of that game. Sky, you know, able to get a couple extra points. They finished 11th. They keep that gap. I mean, the question is, what was the other version of this play, right? Because I think there will be some people who maybe would argue, instead of landing on them, maybe there's a world where you actually just loot up and you just book it, right? And just run straight at Boulevard, right? You know, especially where they can use the teleporters to maybe get there a bit quicker as well. Like, there is a world where they didn't have to straight up just land on them to sort of get the same effect they were looking for. And so, yeah, at this point now, do you just say, you know what, we actually just have nothing to lose now as far as the win goes, let's just try again? Or do you take a different approach to it? I think maybe I'd take the different approach, especially since Sky and Scroll clearly aren't mucking about when it comes to fighting off spawn.
You can see that top three hasn't moved since game 11, and Shark and Tina, they might not have had the best game, but they have absolutely dominated on day 2 at their off spawn, and I'm sure that's sure to continue into game 12, Levin.
Yeah, I mean, look, the reality is, you know, this game, you probably were expecting more out of them because there was a genuine opportunity for them to maybe even catch up and steal second place away in this tournament. I'm almost glad that they didn't, because now it makes the sort of rematch between Pablo, Chino, and Sky and Scroll a possibility and more interesting. But you can't deny just how exceptional Shark and Teeny have had to be today to be in this position. Contested, third place. You know, I started at the start of the weekend talking about how one of the best performances I've ever seen contested was Queasy Swizzy Moustache last year, and they came 4th in that. And so these guys currently beating that out is unbelievable.
We're looking at 4th right now, Focus and Thomas. There are lots of memes online about him coming 2nd again. It has been difficult for them at times in terms of the zones, but it's great to see them consistently stay in this top 5, Minnie.
Yeah, really happy that these guys have been able to continue what they started yesterday. Again, the zones haven't been quite as favorable as they would have liked. We haven't really had that sort of southwest zone, barring that one that was Battlewood that wasn't really Battlewood. It was more south, wasn't it? So, no, it's great to see these guys popping up. It's great to see them performing. And it's going to be great to see them on LAN as well. And I think you raised a great point earlier, Levin. Of course, the meta is going to be largely the same. You have to imagine we're going to be playing on the same season. So I think Thomas and Focus are a team that will continue to grow, and they will be a prime example of a team that will continue to develop in this meta.
And we've missed Thomas on LAN. We want to see this. We're excited to see this. We're also excited to see Scary and Sires. I think Takata is especially excited to see Scary and Sires. Their day 2 hasn't been great, but hopefully lessons have been learned as they look towards Düsseldorf then.
Yeah, at the end of the day, these guys, you know, they could not play this last game, and they should still be able to walk away from this weekend with their heads held high. Everybody doubted them. Nobody had them anywhere near the types of performances they've been able to put on today. And for that alone, I'm excited to see how this translates onto the LAN stage for these two.
Well, you know what, guys? We have waited a long time for this finals. We had to wait until spring for Major 1. We're so excited to head to LAN in Düsseldorf next month. The question is, which 20 duos from Europe are we going to see representing our region? It's time for Game 12.
Thank you, Frankie. The big question, not only which 20 duos will make it to Summit 1 LAN, who is going to end up winning? We had the off-spawn battle, Chino Pablo against Sky and Scroll. Now, I did some math. The difference between first to second place is 88 points. We've seen 100-point games. The difference between second to third is 130 points. I was thinking with the way that went, there's no way they do it again, right? Right? But now, I don't know, Taco.
They don't have much to lose. They could run it back. Why not? I always like to play devil's advocate in these kinds of situations because I'm looking at it from our viewer perspective. This has been an absolute showdown, and not only that, but Chino, Pablo, you really just gonna let them B-hop disgrace y'all off spawn? Take it back, run it back, see what happens. Because if there's any duo that I think could bounce back from that kind of situation in Game 11, it would be Chino and Pablo. But Game 12, ready to rumble. Let's see how it goes.
I think there's higher odds that we do get a run back versus not. It's going to be very difficult to get 130 points. But I mean, if any duo is going to do it, Shark and Teeny is the duo that would be capable of it. But we don't have to wait long. I see Sky Scroll, and I don't see Pablo Chino.
But that's fine, because there's one other thing to still keep in the back of your minds, and it's that for Sky and Scroll, while they aren't going to be contested off the immediate
no way I
50
fucked
for the
that up.
on-spawn,
Sorry.
there's still an opportunity for Chino and Pablo to try and cut them off elsewhere. They've been very obvious with trying to see exactly how they can, reformulate their strategies. Pablo and Chino, it's not without, it's still within their reach, but it's just going to be a very, very difficult game. They've got a lot of work cut out for them. Shark Teeny, though, Huddy Fishy, hurt, but still kicking. Shark trying to see if he can change that, though.
If Huddy Fishy somehow get like a 100-point game here and win just to qualify to the Summit 1
Plot
LAN.
armor.
that would be crazy. We know that's the last thing Shark and Teeny want. So I expect some aggression from this early game here. Question is when. Doesn't have to be quick. But with the confidence they've had, wouldn't be surprised if it is.
Shark and Teeny, though. They don't exactly want to go over aggressive with it. They want to make sure that they're just confirming the elimination of Huddy and Fishy. And already, Huddy Fishy, they have fully forfeited the arcade game position, but they're still looking to see if they can maybe try and sneak up onto Shark. Fishy, Huddy, going for a quick collapse here. Shark, though, getting the better end of the exchange, but it's going to be a turnaround instead. Shark has been brought down, solely down to Teeny, but Teeny, he doesn't have a shotgun. He's only got 2 pistols and an assault rifle, and with no shotgun against the likes of Huddy and Fishy, I don't think that there's a way for him to escape here. He's going to have to kick it into overdrive to beat this one out, and will manage to get the loot from the arcade game. Temporary bailout, but still, twin hammers versus a couple of palms. That is a daunting feat to overcome here right now for Teeny. Pablo and Chino, they find their first pair of eliminations here. 8 points added to the count. Hanging out by the vending machines. We're in the gas station, but Peshka Gold not happy with these new visitors. Teeny limping around Wonky Land. Does have a chug jug, but Huddy and Fishy are just so healthy. Shark and Teeny, they have done so much to prevent Huddy and Fishy at least from entering Game 12 within the top 20. But now they have to sit and wait to see whether or not Fishy and Huddy have the ultimate type of plot armor. Because if they manage to qual from this position now, Takata, knowing what they have to overcome in the leaderboard in general, just to get into qualifying range, it's just monstrous. It would be insanity for them to actually make it at this point.
I'm looking at the calculations. They're currently 75 points away from the top 20. However, it's obviously going to increase after this last match. So it does look like they'd most likely have to end on a win. They're gonna have to end on close to one of those 100-point games, win the match, good amount of elims. It's not impossible for Huddy and Fishy to qualify to the Summit 1 Major LAN, but they need an incredibly big match to close this off. But honestly, Taco, I don't know why. I think we could see it happen.
Yeah, but now what's at stake is that third place position on the leaderboard. Thomas HD and Focus, they were not far behind Huddy, or excuse me, Shark and Teeny. But Sky, Scroll, maybe wanting to repay the favor. I can recognize there's definitely a little bit of action taking place Northwest SS Studios. They won't get involved just yet. Still just gonna hang around the outskirts here, but Pablo and Chino, I think they were looking for Nathan and Nebs. They might have even been fighting somebody else entirely. Either way, several other teams kind of just surrounding the area now. Everyone really looking for any little bit that they can gather in this last game, because it is the last chance. This is all that they have to try and punch their ticket for that battle bus onto the Summit 1 LAN.
Yep, final opportunity. Thomas Focus right under Sharktini on the leaderboard. They have a great opportunity to take third place from them now, but they cannot be taking these big shots in a 2v1. Just now they are gonna kind of regroup, focus up a little bit here. It's gonna be very hard to get second, but a third place for Thomas HD, it's nothing new.
Let's see how this kind of kicked off here though. Burke, gonna be the first elimination confirmed there for Focus and Thomas. That's a big part of the reason why they feel encouraged to try and see if they can pick up Zany along with it. But yeah, Zany's not gonna make it easy. He's obviously willing to make them work for it. And if they're not careful, he might even punish them pretty heavily. Last thing they want is even further delays in their loot path. But Malabuka, Vico, faded by himself, trying to escape, but not good enough. Vico and Malabuka with 2 eliminations over at Frigid Fortress. And they'll be happy to collect. I was asking for that Victory Royale. It's always difficult to come by, but you never know with Vico and Malabuka. And you also have to remember, Vico and Malabuka definitely within that third place striking range too on the leaderboard.
100%. If Thomas HD and Focus do get third place, it's gonna be Thomas's 12th third place in the major finals. Got him top 2 5 times. Living up to his history here. Gino Pablo. It looks like they're making a bit of a different rotate here, Taco.
They're looking for Sky and Scroll. That's all they're doing. They're waiting to see where Sky and Scroll are at, but what's crazy is that Sky and Scroll seem to have a very similar mentality. They might have been looking for Chino and Pablo, because check out where they're at. Sky and Scroll, they're nowhere near Chino and Pablo. They're kind of just stuck waiting, trying to figure out, hey, I thought these guys were supposed to be here by now. Don't they like to build surge bases around this area? But instead, all that'll present itself for their troubles might be Nero and Josh Bot off in the distance, but I don't think Chino and Pablo want to waste any more time. There's still surge that they want to keep tabs of. And yeah, a little bit of an unfortunate fizzle out here though for Chino and Pablo, but they're definitely trying to be proactive.
Cami, Hari, there's a team that had a very strong start yesterday. Kick off the EU major finals, but today they just haven't quite found their grasp. Currently sitting in 15th place. They are in qualifying range, but they will need a few more to confirm it. Gino Pablo continuing to play aggressive, continuing on their hunt for Sky and Scroll. Unfortunately for them, this is not the duo they're looking for, but they're able to pick up more eliminations. Nothing wrong with that.
And that's really the thing here for Pablo and Chino. If they want to play catch with Sky and Scroll, they're going to need eliminations anyway, on top of a win.
Oh.
So Pablo just watches Dean has barely survived that initial pump shot from Chino, but still armed and ready. Chino and Pablo, they've got 3. They're looking for the 4th. Fernek trying to do what he can to delay. He's in that 23rd position, just outside of Summit Land qual range, and Pablo Chino are gonna douse the flame of Dinas and Franek. That will not have the opportunity to try and represent Poland at the Germany LAN, but hey, game is game at the end of the day here at Takata. Players are doing what they can to put themselves in the best position possible.
Honestly, the last thing you want happening in the last match is having Chino Pablo keying you while they're on the hunt. Chat Flixie, there's another team. They've maintained kind of like that 14th to 17th range for a very long time today. All they got to do is close it off with a solid end here. No reason, similar situation in 17th place. They've been consistently staying in qualifying range, but the issue is all it would take is one bad match and they can drop out. Let's hope this is not going to be that bad match.
It's too close for comfort. 17th right now has just way too many other duos that could possibly overtake, and they don't want to risk it. If they just stick true to their strengths, I'm sure they'll be able to find themselves in a position where they're able to close out the end game and net themselves enough points to confirm their representation at Summer 1 LAN. But look at Thomas and Focus finally getting their conclusion over at Riptide. Zany has been eliminated. Zany and Berg no longer rolling in this lobby, and a little bit of a look back to see what started it off. It's just Focus, overhead pump shot. That's just, you know,
All it takes.
we've seen that a few times from Focus. That's for sure.
Nothing new. Sky up above now with Scroll and Sandy Strip. Hold on now. It's kind of funny to see a little change in locations here with Chino Pablo.
Well,
They've
in the
swapped
zones here.
POIs. Yeah, it's obvious why they're rotating over here. Just funny to see. For Sky and Scroll, I mean, all they got to do is continue what they've been doing as the days gone on.
Ooh, Swizzy Pixie eliminated. They were in that 13th position. I do believe they should be able to stay within the qualifying range. Skyjump and Momsy, on the other hand, 20th place duos eliminated. And look at 21st and 22nd Glove Sheet, Prax. So little to overcome, but it does add a huge amount of pressure here at Takata, because one misstep and it's over. And they're already so close, but for Skyjump and Momsy, their fate rests exclusively on the performance of the teams in 21st and 22nd right now.
Darkos Minori, they ended yesterday on a 3rd place with 2 eliminations. The problem is since then today, they've only had 1 match. I was gonna say made it to the top 10, but they literally got 10th. The good news is it was the most recent match. So if they can replicate that here, it should be enough to solidify themselves a spot at the summit.
You say that, but they're in the same boat as Glabshi and Prux. I mean, both of these teams are at 224 points right now. They are tied, dead even for 21st. And Skyjump Mumsy, they've got a little bit of a buffer zone. It's just not one that they can feel super great about watching the remainder of this 12th lobby. Sky Scroll, though, ready to make their move. They're kind of, I think we're about to see a highlight reel performance out of Sky and Scroll here in Game 2. I really hope I don't jinx this, but they have a very comfortable position right now, overhead of 2nd place. I'm not gonna call it like a victory lap by any means, but there's just a certain type of like confidence. You know, you can kind of see like the swagger in a player when it really like envelops that mentality of we are first, we are the champions, and I feel like everything is just alluding to it. The only thing that is chasing them in the rearview mirror right now is Pablo and Chino. So if either of those players go down, I think that's where we'll start to see that extra gear come into play from Sky and Scroll.
Might have forgot the Huddy Fishy script though. The 1st place final comeback. Jokes aside, I mean, it's not a joke. It is very possible. Sure and Repairs, they've been performing incredibly well until the 2 previous matches. where they just haven't been able to keep it up. Drop down out of the top 5 into 7th place. Very close behind 8th and 9th. So they are going to want a pretty decent performance here. Pablo Chino, though, they're going to need an extraordinary one. And on top of that, to take out Sky and Skrull before they start racking up placement points.
Yeah, but they've already got 4 eliminations, and they're looking to try and add some more to the count here. Chat, Flixie, Vico, Malabuka, a couple of teams kind of just stuck between each other on the edge of zone. Sky, Skrull might be able to take advantage of it, but first they've got to contend with the likes of Volko and Cringe. Players not necessarily sorted out with their surge metrics. For Vico, Malabuka, they're trying to wait things out. One more splash remains. Vico does have a few slices of pizza, but the lobby is looking inwards, and it's focusing solely on their position. The last of their materials just getting burned through so rapidly. The pressure relentless. Chat, Felixi, part of the reason why they're receiving so much of it. Malabuka, Vico, they cannot escape. 100 above now, dropping. And the constant fluctuations, it's just got to be battling on the nerves right now. But Vico, Malabuka, they are a team that can definitely hold steady, but they are going to need a refresh at this stage.
A lot of mats, a lot of heals have just been used up from that lobby focus, but it could have been worse. Neither player got knocked. They're still in zone, and focus is no longer on them. Prax Glubshy, though, they are, like we mentioned, tied right outside of that qualifying range. 262 was the cutoff going into this. It's going to get higher than that. As you can see, they're currently at 236. The good news is 407 above. They have mats. They have a loadout. They have what it takes to play this end game out. All that's left is to do it.
A little bit uneasy here now. Forchap and Flixie. Malabuka started to get a little bit more aggressive. Check out Darman Deemish, though, on the other end of things, contending with Chino and Pablo. Chino and Pablo have a whole lot of surge, but Darman Deemish, they have been rather aggressive. They don't mind going for the occasional key opportunity here. So Pablo, Chino, they'll have to keep their wits about them. Don't want to lose sight of what's just in front of them. Almost feels like their arms already extended. They're reaching out to try and grab Sky and Skrull, but their fingertips just can't connect with their shirts just yet. They've still got so much left to go. And Skrull and Sky cruising right now through the low ground. Very familiar territory for these two. They have been one with ultimate low and just made it look effortless to play through.
Thing is, they have been continuously kind of controlling that low ground throughout the day. So, you know, Pablo Chino, they're going to have that in mind when they're looking where to play themselves. As now they have also gotten ahead on low. As Focus has to be careful. He's been cracked. Thomas on the other side of the zone trying to group up. Is going to be able to, but Glubshy has gone down. Prax is left alone. Not enough points yet to qualify a solo clutch to the Summit LAN. Is what's left for Prax here.
Skyjump and Momsy almost want to close their eyes, but it's like you got to make the cracks through your fingers. You want to see what happens to these teams that are hot on your heels for overthrowing your position for that Summit LAN qual. Pablo Chino, though, chopping at the floor right now, trying to see if they can bring Darman Deemish down, but even with the pressure from overhead and underneath, Darman Deemish managed to stay strong. At least for right now, but Chino, Pablo, they still want this. They still might be able to go for it, too. Or they might just choose to back off, look back, wait, see. Is anybody else gonna run across our screens?
Well, if they're trying to look for a healthy duo here, but be careful! Skrull has gone down. Sky is left alone. Now you can almost guarantee Pablo Chino are gonna be happy with seeing that on the feed, as Sky is not used to these solo clutch opportunities, but Chino's also gone down. Taco, both our first and second place team are now left as solos.
But the big thing here is that it's better for Sky and Skrull. Pablo and Chino, they needed to be together. They needed to confirm as many eliminations as possible. And now the world rests upon Chino's shoulders, just watching Pablo try to bring things home for the pairing. Still, it's just so much to overcome here. And Sky, on the other end of things, in a nicely set up position, he'll be able to help bring down Cammy, but he's gonna elevate. He just wants to get overhead. Pablo having a much rougher time trying to navigate his way through this elevation shift, and Sky will take a moment to pause, a moment to breathe. Pablo, he still needs more eliminations. He needs a strong placement on top of those eliminations, and I don't know if the opportunity is going to come by him. Sky, Scroll, even if he gets eliminated here, Pablo left as a solo. The odds are just so heavily against him, and Sky, he might be able to net something more still. We saw him in the last lobby. He had 4 eliminations all by himself, and I think it's not unreasonable to believe he might be able to net another one, but Pablo has no idea. It's Sky that's underneath him. Sky gonna find a secondary elimination here already. He's gonna keep maneuvering straight towards that front side, but there is no moment to pause and think if you are Pablo. He's just gotta keep things going.
Both of these players, Pablo and Sky, they've solo clutched countless times. They are more than capable of doing it, but like you said, this is much more in favor for Sky and Scroll now already with 2 elims. Mats are running low, gonna choose to just farm as many placements as possible, but he might knock on Pablo's door. Is he gonna take the pursuit? Sky now in the zone. Pop the Flowberry missed as the shot comes through onto Minori. That's a solid refresh, but the issue is didn't get the mats. Pablo now left with 12 is gonna overdrive back in. Sky is cracked. The pressure is on.
But the problem right now for Pablo is look how far Sky's managed to go. And even with that elimination, they fall one after the other. But our Major 1 Grand Champions, it's already been decided here, Takata. Sky and Scroll have done enough. They will be wielding that Axe of Champions and headed straight for the Major 1 Summit LAN. It's a huge moment for them to celebrate. A couple of young Danes just really coming surely into their best of forms. But Malabuka, Vico, they don't find their victory royale here. It's Nathan and Nebs. They wanted to make sure that they wouldn't miss out on this Summit LAN, and with this victory royale, they're guaranteed to hold on to their position.
Congratulations to Sky and Scroll, but as we just saw, this is exactly what Nathan and Nebs needed. They were so far up the leaderboard going into day 2, but then dropped down to 18. And now finally with that win, they've pushed themselves back up, solidifying a spot at the Summit 1 LAN. That's it for Taco and I in the casting booth. We have to head back over to the desk to close out the day.
Thank you so much to Taco and to Carter, and huge congratulations to your FNCS Europe Major 1 champions, Sky and Scroll. Leven, they were the favorites coming into this competition, and they showed us exactly why all weekend.
Amazing. Truly an amazing weekend for those 2 boys who have been a part of EU for years now, together as a pair. And when they burst onto the scene, you know, back in 2023, there was all these conversations about, you know, this being the future, and we're waiting to see them, you know, really solidify themselves. And they've continued to play with each other. They've continued to find success, and to see them finally have their moment, Mini, it's taken some time, but it couldn't have come better or sweeter. What a weekend.
Consistency personified for these guys, not just this weekend. They've had one bad game really all weekend long. They've fully deserved this FNCS title, but just sticking together, sticking through it, through thick and thin. They've had great performances. They've had not so great performances in the past as well, but they've worked through it. They've worked on their mistakes. They've continued to develop, and most importantly, they've continued to develop together. And this is the result that we get to see here in Major 1 of this year. I'm sure this is only a sign of things to come as well. Look out for these guys at the Major 1 Summit and, of course, the future majors.
What's especially exciting for me seeing these guys this weekend, boys, is the fact that they're not just Mr. and Mr. Consistency. They are literally a team that can get flashy exactly when they need to. They don't take unnecessary risks. They pick up elimination after elimination, and they're not a stranger to a victory royale, Leven.
Not at all. Not at all. They haven't been throughout this weekend, and they won't be at the Major 1 Summit either. They are going to be the team to beat from EU.
Wow.
Commiserations to Chino and
Yeah,
Pablo. They
that
really made it a
team-
show because, you know, even at the
People
start of this
need to
weekend,
watch
I
out.
predicted Sky and Scroll to win, but I was saying, look, I think they're just going to run away with it, right? And if it hadn't have been for Chino and Pablo and the way they played and rising maybe above their expectations, it would have been just that, right? Because they really are the only things that are stopping it from being, you know, an absolutely ridiculous gap between Sky and Scroll in the lobby. And for that, I will always be grateful. Last year, I felt like these guys were the best trio. I know a lot of people, you know, who looked at other players and other people, but what really inspired me about these guys is just how they took the game by storm. They found success not playing how everybody else was playing. And so when we came into this year, Mini, and everybody was going, all those people who found success in, you know, the old surge and the old meta, the old way of playing competitive Fortnite, are those people gonna continue to find success in 2026? That's not been a question for Pablo and Chino, because back then they showed they could do it different, and they've continued to show that they can do it different. Last year we talked about their fragging powers and their ability to just, you know, out-elim everybody in a lobby. This season they've showed us they can be as consistent as the most consistent team in the world in Sky and Scroll, and for that they are gonna be a team to watch out for the rest of this year.
Yeah, they have to go out here holding their heads high. I mean, they put on an absolute display of excellence this weekend. And you're right, I think it's unfortunate for them that Sky and Scroll were just that good, because this is almost an FNCS winning performance in itself. The way they were able to navigate these end games, the way they were able to sort of silence a lot of the doubters, a lot of the haters coming into this weekend. And I'm sure a lot of people would have had some very valid questions about their performances, but coming into it, when it matters most, when they have zones and when they don't have zones, they continue to deliver. And big ups to them for making it really interesting at the end, landing on them in game 11 and then trying to find them in game 12. They really made it a spectacle for us all to enjoy.
So many of these duos, especially on day 2, have made things extra exciting. Props to Focus and Thomas, and also Shark and Teeny, because these are new duos going into Chapter 7 as we revert back to duos format. And I can only be excited for the future of these duos as we move further ahead in Chapter 7, Minnie.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting to see. I mean, you know, there's so many names here that we had big expectations of. Even Focus, of course, Thomas, playing with Thomas as well. One of the newer players. It was one of the players that the analyst broke down on day number 1 of just like, these are some new players, some new talent that are rising through. And maybe Focus is going to be one of those players to keep looking out for in the future, because he can really hold his head high after this weekend. There was a lot of situations where Focus was the focus point of this duo. They were trying to solo clutch. And of course, Thomas went down and he held that. He was able to hold his own in those situations, Levin. So these guys can be really proud as well. I'm sure they would have liked things to have gone a lot better for them, but still a really commendable performance.
We get to watch Thomas back on LAN, and that's why I'm happy. I'm going to be smiling all the way until we get to Dusseldorf, because this man has been one of the biggest names in EU for years. He has showed us in so many finals just how impressive he can be, and the chance to see more of Focus, right? We got a glimpse of Focus at LAN, you know, in previous years. Now we get to get a full taste, a full course menu of their performances over the course of the Summit LAN. And, you know, as much as, again, they would have wanted this weekend to go better for them, I'm sure, and they would have really thought that they could have made the push to potentially win it. They're going to be in a good spot going into Summit as far as, you know, being the best Riptide team, I think, in all of Fortnite, regardless of region.
And Shark and Teeny, I'm so glad that they went from 21st on day 1 to 5th on day 2.
Start
as if there was
hoping
any doubt with these
made
guys.
it.
But these guys bring the drama, not just in terms of the elimination feed, but also they're not off-spawn mind games, Levin. I can't wait to see what happens in Dusseldorf.
They will be incredibly happy with the result of this, right? Because at the end of the day, when they realized they would be contested by Hutty and Fishy, the #1 job was, let's make sure we qualify and let's make sure they don't. And they have achieved that. They were successful in that. And so now for Teeny and Shark, look, Minnie, I'm sure Shark, you know, going into this major would have been hoping that this could have been his crowning moment, right? Last year, he burst onto the scene, couldn't quite get a good result in an FNCS, no matter how hard he tried or who he played with. Everything looked set up for them to come into this season and really compete till the end against Sky and Scroll. And even though that didn't quite happen for them, the performance, especially on day 2, the ending result, being a top 5 while contesting a very good team at Wonkyland, this is a spectacular performance and just adds to what will be an amazing career as far as resume goes for Shark and Teeny moving forward.
We've been talking about Sharks so much, about the future of Fortnite. I'm so sorry. Jump back in there, Mini Miner, with your thoughts. I'm just excited to look at page 2. But Mini, please conclude on Shark and Team.
I was just going to say their highs are as good as any team in this lobby, and I'm sure will be as good as any team in the Dusseldorf Major 1 Summit lobby as well. They are a fantastic team. Lots of people had their eyes on them when they got together for this chapter, and it's like, yeah, this is a team that has so much potential. Quite unfortunate that they were actually contested here in the Major Finals, because who knows what things are going to change if they are going to be uncontested, but definitely ones to look out for, not just for this year, but for the future of Sharks.
And well, let's see the other 10 duos who will be representing Europe at the Major 1 Summit in Dusseldorf. We're going to see Nebs and Nathan, an up and down day 2 for them, but so pleased with the boys from Britain. I drop and Marius from 30th to 13th. Cheat and Janice holding on all weekend, and in 16th 11 we have Swizzy and Pixie.
What a comeback. They did the job. Wow. We knew that after day 1 it was gonna be an uphill battle, but they climbed that mountain, and we will get to see these 2 incredibly talented players playing on that stage in Germany. Look, let's forget about day 1, Mini. You know, it's
yeah, I don't know what's up in a day 1.
We ain't gotta talk about that. We gotta just look forward to what does this team look like at Dark Dominion when it comes to the LAN. Do they even decide to run it back there after their experience of day 1 and how that all played out? Who knows? Who cares? We get to see them at the LAN.
Yeah, and what I'm excited for, and particularly for these guys, is the fact that they were able to respond so well, that they're going to be able to learn now. This is almost like an extended version of the break we got between day 1 and day 2. It's going to be learning about what went wrong, learning about how they can improve, and they are one of the best teams at that. With all the experience they have, with all of the prowess that they have when it comes to a LAN environment, I expect these guys to be performing incredibly well. Like you said, forget about day 1. Did it even happen? I don't think so.
Very quick one before we head to our winners interview. Noah and Reason have also made it to Dusseldorf, so I'm hoping that German fans are going to turn up for these 2. And we are going to be so excited to see this man on the broadcast as well, because we have Sky joining us for a winners interview. Hello, Sky. First of all, congratulations. I can't hear you, and I don't know if that's my system or it's your system. Boys, can you confirm?
I can't hear him. I'd love to hear him. I'd love to hear him right now. I'm sure he has so much wisdom to give us about the glorious performance this weekend.
Sky, I think you've had such a hard-fought-for weekend that, you know, the sound has been an afterthought. If you are able to get anyone to help you, that would be amazing, because we are dying to talk to you. I think it was Scroll Boys that we spoke to after the Fortnite Reload Elite series, and something that Scroll was saying about the fact that these guys, they weren't focusing anymore on Reload, they were just focusing all the way for the W. And Sky, I don't know if you could just hear me there.
Yeah, I can hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
You can hear me. You know, we can slightly hear you. We just need production to turn you up and out ears. But after qualifying for the Reload Series finals, was it really a case of just grinding now and focusing on the Major 1 performance?
Yeah, I mean, we just turned over to FNCS Major 1 and put all our time into it, and we prepared the most we could.
Sky, it's been a great year for you guys. You guys have dominated in almost every competition you've played in. Talk to me about your relationship with Scroll. Everybody wants to know. You guys have been playing with each other for so long. What does he help you to do? How does he help you, reach the heights you reach as an individual as well?
I think Scroll's a great player. He's one of the best, I feel like. And we've known each other for years now, and I would say we're best friends almost, and it just helps us when we play as well, because we kind of know what we think when we play. We know how we play, so it's so easy to just follow each other, get the refreshes, and just play the way we want to.
I want to talk about how today ended for you guys. I mean, game 11, Chino and Pablo try to land on you, try to contest you, and then game 12 they try and chase you around. What was going through your mind, both in game 11 and in game 12 there, to try and close it out?
I mean, in game 11 we had an idea they would con, but we didn't know. But yeah, we've just prepared. We've been preparing our spawns for hours during the week, and yeah, we were ready for the spawn.
It looked like you changed your approach in Game 12 to hunt down Pablo and Chino. Can you talk about who made that call, what you decided to do there?
The opposite, actually. We knew, like, when we knew we weren't gonna be conned, we knew they would, like, try loot up and then key us, so we decided to, like, completely switch up what we wanted to do, and, yeah, we just tried to avoid them, go around them, and, yeah, we ended in Sandy.
I'm curious now who was snitching in the Danish Discord and letting you know that they might con you, Tyzer. You know, you had the intel from somewhere, clearly. Now you have, obviously, the championship. Okay, cool. I understand. But you have the championship now, right? You know, you're the champions of Europe. You're going to be representing us, and all of us will be supporting you guys and hoping you pick up the trophy there at Summit. Looking around at some of the other regions, maybe NA as well, is there anyone you're looking at? Who do you feel like is your biggest competition, you know, across the pond? Are there any teams in particular that you take inspiration from, that you look at and are really impressive right now?
I mean, over in NA, there's like all the big teams. There's Peter, there's Clicks, there's Bolts, Acorn, Cold Rabbit. Like, just for Summit, I think there's gonna be so many teams that can be contenders to win it all.
So, Sky, just one last question. You've been playing in FNCS for a few years now. When you started out, did you imagine that not only would you be winning a title, but you'd also be a favourite going into the first LAN of the year?
I mean, no. I mean, it's a dream. It's what I've been dreaming of since I started playing, so yeah, never been happier.
Well, the dream's not done yet. Congratulations to yourself and to Scroll. We cannot wait to see you in Düsseldorf.
Thank you very much.
And don't forget Sky SZN_ if you want to find Scroll on Sky on social media. I'm sure he's also going to be tagging Scroll in all of his celebratory posts as well. Guys, what an incredible weekend. Let's take a look at the jurors who have qualified to represent Europe at the Major One Summit in Düsseldorf. I don't know if we can say it's coming home, because normally that's only attributed to the Brits, but you know it could, because Nathan and Nebs have qualified, Levin.
Yeah, let's not get too excited. You know, I'm gonna, at the end of the day, right, when we talk about the regional pride, Europe, we're on top of the world right now. You know, after globals, you know, I don't really want to hear any other region chatting to me right now. But I think one thing that I'm very excited about, Mini, is we are sending some really good teams and some really good players to this land.
Oh, some really, really great teams. I mean, even looking at some of the teams that didn't have a great weekend compared to how we'd expect them to. Looking at Shark and Teeny, of course, having a really, really good comeback, getting into that top 5 in the end. And of course, Swizzy and Pixie as well. These are teams that, yeah, they may have not had the greatest weekend in terms of, especially on day one, but when it comes to these LAN environments, they're going to come into a world of their own and expect big things from them. It's going to be absolute chaos as always, but it's going to be the best kind.
It really is. The PSD Bank Dome in Düsseldorf is going to be electrifying on May 30th and 31st. Don't forget to get your tickets. We cannot wait to see you there.
Why you
so
say
why
you keep saying that?
In a couple of hours' time, the North American broadcast will be here. They'll be selecting the next jurors who will be competing in Germany. So make sure you don't miss that one. Levin, hang on a second. That chin stroke, you got a prediction?
No, I'm just very excited for NA. I mean, it's been a fun watch so far. I think we've seen similar things, similar parallels between EU and NA as far as certain teams maybe underperforming who we expected to do better, and other teams walking through and looking incredibly consistent.
Mini Minor, any predictions?
No predictions. All I'm going to say is, jeez Louise, Sky and Scroll, what a performance. I mean, unbelievable. I guess you could say that Sky is the limit for these guys, and they won't need to be scrolling down the leaderboard much longer.
Oh, GG, Mini. Let's get back to the lobby as we sound that horn. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, production. Thank you, teams. Thank you, commentators. We'll see you very soon in Düsseldorf.